Welcome to Have You Read It, the channel where we bring books to life, one summary at a time. Today we're diving into A.J. Jacobs's The Year of Living Constitutionally. It's a wild ride, folks, part historical exploration, part personal experiment, and a whole lot of quirky fun. Jacobs, known for his immersive journalism projects like The Year of Living Biblically, sets out on a quest to live for a year according to the original meaning of the U.S. Constitution. He calls himself the original originalist. So why the Constitution? Jacobs explains he was driven by three key revelations. First, just how much this 237-year-old document influences our daily lives, especially in light of recent Supreme Court decisions. Second, his shockingly limited knowledge of the Constitution itself. And third, the realization that the Constitution is a national Rorschach test, with everyone interpreting it to fit their own beliefs. Jacobs's journey starts on Election Day. He attempts to vote by voice, as was customary in the 18th century. While his attempt is thwarted by modern voting procedures, it highlights the evolution of voting practices and the ongoing debates about accessibility and fairness. He also tries to revive the tradition of election cake, a spiced treat offered at polling places in early America, and hands out rum punch, noting that early American elections were much more festive events. Jacobs assembles a board of constitutional advisors, a diverse group of legal scholars with varying interpretations, from strict originalists to those who view the Constitution as malleable, textual Play-Doh. This sets the stage for exploring the central debate of the book: originalism versus living constitutionalism. Originalism argues that we should adhere to the original meaning of the text when it was ratified, while living constitutionalism contends that the Constitution's meaning should evolve with changing moral standards. To fully immerse himself, Jacobs adopts 18th century tools and technologies, writing with a quill pen, reading by candlelight, and even trying pipe smoking. He also explores the social customs of the time, attending Revolutionary War reenactments with the 3rd New Jersey Regiment, learning about their commitment to historical accuracy, and even joining the regiment himself. His exploration of the First Amendment leads him to discover that the founders' understanding of free speech was far more restricted than our modern interpretation. He takes to the streets of Manhattan, handing out quill-written pamphlets. He also tries to abide by early American laws against cursing, implementing a swear jar at home. The Third Amendment, which prohibits the quartering of soldiers in private homes without consent, becomes another avenue for Jacobs's experiment. After several failed attempts to find a willing soldier, he finally quarters Arjun, a friend of a friend serving in the Army Reserve. Arjun's story highlights themes of civic duty and the evolving relationship between civilians and the military. A visit to the Supreme Court provides a first-hand look at the institution that has become the ultimate arbiter of the Constitution. Jacobs observes oral arguments, highlighting the court's power and the complexities of legal interpretation. He also critiques the court's outsized influence, arguing that its current power wasn't what the founders intended. He examines the court's move towards judicial supremacy, where 9 unelected justices have the final say on constitutional matters, and explores proposals for reform such as term limits. Jacobs explores one of the more unusual constitutional clauses, the granting of letters of marque and reprisal. This clause, which allows Congress to authorize privateering during wartime, highlights the changing nature of warfare and the Constitution's adaptability. He even attempts to obtain a letter of marque from a congressman. A trip to the National Archives to see the original Constitution reinforces the document's symbolic power. Jacobs also grapples with the idea of the unwritten Constitution, the norms, traditions, and interpretations that have shaped our understanding of the document. The right to assemble, another First Amendment freedom, inspires Jacobs to host an 18th century-themed dinner party. The party, with its period-specific food, drink, and conversation, highlights the importance of civic engagement and the challenges of political discourse in a polarized society. Amending the Constitution, a notoriously difficult process, becomes the focus of another experiment. Jacobs interviews Gregory Watson, the man who successfully spearheaded the ratification of the 27th Amendment, gaining insights into the complexities and challenges of constitutional change. He then embarks on his own quest to propose a 28th Amendment, calling for a three-person presidency. Throughout the book, Jacobs grapples with the Constitution's complicated legacy on race. He highlights the hypocrisy of the Founding Fathers, who espoused liberty while upholding slavery, and explores the ongoing struggle for racial equality through the lens of constitutional interpretation. He reflects on the contributions of Frederick Douglass, who argued that the Constitution contained the seeds of freedom and should be used as a tool for social change. He points out that some scholars see Douglass as a founder, continuing the work of shaping the Constitution. Jacobs also addresses the Constitution's view of women's rights, or lack thereof, acknowledging his great-grandmother Gertrude Sunstein, a suffragist who fought for the 19th Amendment. He details the sexist attitudes of the founding era and the legal constraints placed on women, particularly married women. His attempts to follow these historical laws highlight the absurdity of such restrictions. His exploration of the Second Amendment involves acquiring 2 muskets, learning to shoot, and navigating the complexities of gun laws. He examines the ongoing debate about the amendment's original meaning, exploring the individual rights versus collective rights interpretations, the applicability to modern weaponry, and the broader societal impact of guns. He references Saul Cornell's argument that a return to the true original meaning of the Second Amendment, with its connection to civic duty and militias, would be a nightmare that neither side would welcome. Jacobs tries to get into the mind of James Madison by using ChatGPT. He engages in conversations with Robo-Madison, exploring the founder's potential views on contemporary issues, from Donald Trump and social media to gun control and AI. He addresses the growth and influence of the administrative state, those federal agencies that regulate many aspects of American life. He touches on the libertarian critique that these agencies overstep their constitutional authority and limit individual freedom, while also acknowledging the important role they play in protecting public health, safety, and the environment. He describes efforts to limit the power of these agencies, particularly through recent Supreme Court decisions. He attempts to live a day avoiding anything touched by federal agencies, highlighting their pervasive influence on modern life. A key takeaway from The Year of Living Constitutionally is that the Constitution is a living document, constantly being reinterpreted and reshaped through legal challenges, social movements, and political debates. It is up to us, we the people, to engage with this document, to understand its complexities, and to continue the ongoing experiment of American democracy. Here are a few heuristics to remember. The Constitution contains multitudes. It's not simply a document of liberation or oppression, but a complex mix of both, reflecting the ongoing tension between individual rights and the common good. Be humble in your interpretations. Avoid the trap of assuming you have all the answers. Embrace intellectual humility and be open to changing your mind. Think slow. Resist the urge for instant reactions. Slow down your thinking, your news consumption, and your conversations. Embrace virtue. Consider the general welfare and your responsibilities to your community. Remember the experiment. America is an ongoing experiment in democracy. Embrace the spirit of innovation and be open to trying new approaches. Thanks for watching. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button so you never miss our next book dive.